Guys, welcome to another Askzenler. Now in this Askzenler I want to explain what is SMTP. Now you might have seen, if you go into site integrations, you will see an SMTP. Now we expect you to use SMTP to replace Zenler Mail, but there can be problems. If you do not configure your SMTP correctly, you will not be able to send emails out or automations. They just will not work. We recently had this problem with one of our instructors who actually had a website designer do the SMTP for her, but they did it incorrectly and did not check it, so automation stopped working. So let me explain exactly what happens with SMTP and how it refers to Zenler platform. So if we have a look now at a little explanation between the differences between Zenler Mail and SMTP, hopefully it will be all clear to you. So Zenler Mail uses its own mail server to send out your emails and automations. Depending on your plan, you have a limited number of mails that can be sent out each month. To get better deliverability, make sure you authenticate your domain. That's inside the Zenler Mail settings, and we'll have a look at that in a second. Now SMTP, on the other hand, you can use your own emails SMTP settings to send out through your own server provider. So that's external from Zenler. That's your mail that you bought. So that's when you bought a domain, you might have a mail account that comes with that, will have its own SMTP settings. Okay, using SMTP, you're expected to know what you're doing, as misconfigurations will stop mails going out and automations. Note, if you enable SMTP, automations use this by default. Okay, so although in email broadcasts you have the choice of selecting Zenler Mail or your own SMTP, automations will automatically select SMTP if it has been enabled. All right, this is really important. So SMTP basically stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. Refers to sending out of mail. There are other terms in mail such as POP and IMAP. These refer to mail retrieval, okay, getting the emails from the server. So we're going to have a look at the next slide, which clearly illustrates what's going on and makes it a little bit easier for you guys to understand. So if we look at your Zenler site, obviously you might have added your domain DNS records to make it look like your site, but it is only looking like your site. So Zenler is standalone, Zenler Mail inside Zenler platform is standalone, and your domain has still got its SMTP if you require to use it. So by default, if you're using Zenler Mail, it's really simple. You make sure that you use email domain authentication to authenticate it for better deliverability. Basically, you send it out through Zenler, it goes straight through Zenler Mail, and it sends through Zenler. Okay. Now, if you decide to use SMTP in the integrations, it will bypass Zenler Mail and it will shoot across to your SMTP mail box on your domain. Okay, and it will send out through that. Now, obviously, if it's misconfigured, then there will be no connection between this and your SMTP server, and your mail will not go out. So you set up SMTP for Zenler to use your mail. If you have problems after you integrate SMTP, it's up to you to resolve these, as in it's external to Zenler. Okay, so you need to make sure this works, and if it works correctly, then it will go through here and it will go out. Now the advantage to using SMTP is that you are using your own mail server to send emails out, so you're not limited on the number of emails that you send out. So if you reach your limit per month on the amount of mails that you can send out, either using the Pro or Premium plan, then you might be good to have a fallback option of using SMTP to send some out, or you just might want to use SMT for everything. It's up to you. So that is it in a nutshell. So inside the site itself, I'll just jump into, I'll show you where these are. So here we are, guys, going to site integrations, and you'll see that you have Zenler Mail there. You can see that on my particular site I have actually activated and I verified my email domain authentication. So I am purely using Zenler Mail. If you scroll down, you can bring in your own SMTP, and you just simply click here and you make sure that you put the correct settings in SMTP server, SMT port, username and password. Now guys, if you want automations to run separate from the not using SMTP, you can just uncheck here. Okay, and then automations will run using Zenler Mail, which is the safest option. However, if you know it all works correctly, you can leave that on default. So it's up to you to fill these settings. I can't give you generic settings because it does differ, and obviously I don't know your username or your password. But if done correctly, then they will send out through your SMTP configuration. Guys, you need to check it. You need to go into your email broadcast, send one out using SMTP, make sure it sends out. You also need to check your funnel automations and make sure that they are working as expected. If they are not working as expected, you can pretty much guarantee that you've put some settings in here wrong. Okay, so this is a little bit about SMTP. We did have this problem recently. I wanted to just reiterate this. As it is an integration, you need to make sure that you understand with all, not just SMTP, that you understand how to use these properly. Okay, so it is up to you to make sure that you've got the connections in these integrations. We've allowed you to use them in here, but you need to make sure you're familiar with each of the integrations before you start using them. And if you don't know what they are, do not use them.